Good day, students. This is Home Economic lesson. Our topic is food preservation. Before we look into food preservation, I would want us to review the last topic we discussed last term. And the topic was food hygiene and safety. And we saw the meaning of food hygiene and food safety, reasons for healthy food handling, hygienic ways to handle food, sources of food contamination and poisoning, food poisoning, sources and causes of food contamination and poisoning. And today we will look at food preservation. What is food preservation? Food preservation is a process by which foods are prevented from getting spoiled for a long period of time. Once food is preserved, it can stay for a very long time without it getting spoiled. But when food is not preserved, it can spoil within the shortest period of time. Reasons for preserving food. Why do we have to preserve food? Must we really preserve it? Does it worth it? Yes, it worth it. We preserve food in order to buy and eat foods when they are out of season. There are foods that are seasonal, and when they are in season, they tend to be cheaper. So if we are able to preserve them, we will have them available to eat when they are out of season. And another reason is to make use of foods when they are cheap and plentiful, and to store them for later use. When foods are in season, they tend to be cheaper, and you will have many of them available in the market. And so if you are able to preserve, then it is worth buying in large quantity, so that when they are no longer in season, you will have enough to use in the home, or you will have in excess to take to the market for sale and buy other things that could be useful in the home. Preservation of foods usually reduces bulkiness. This makes their transportation and storage easier because it will require less space. There are some of the foods that can occupy space when you want to take them to the market or you want to travel with them. Foods like tubers of yam. You want to travel with tubers of yam, you need a very big sack if it is about 10 big tubers. But if you will preserve the yam by drying it, you will discover that you don't need to carry a very big sack for only 10 tubers of yam. Another reason for preserving food is to have variety. There are some of the food items that once you preserve them, you can change their form to another thing else that will really give variety in your diet. Example, jam. You can use fruits like mangoes and guava to make jam. And when you make your jam, you can keep it for a very long time. So most of the time when mangoes or guavas are in season, you can decide to make jam from your mangoes and your guavas. And you can keep the jam for a very long time. And you can use it to eat your bread. Methods of preserving food. We have different methods that we use in preserving food. One of the methods is dehydration. What do we mean by dehydration? Dehydration has to do with the removal of water or moisture from food. Once you remove water or moisture from food, what you have done is known as dehydration. And we dehydrate using the following methods. Sun drying. You can dry your food under the sun, and the sun can help in removing moisture from the food. And once moisture is removed from the food will dry. Example of foods that you can sun dry are pepper, cassava, green leafy vegetables, meat, fish, etc. Another method of dehydration is smoking. Smoking involves using smoke from fire to remove moisture from food. Once you put your meat under the fire, you quench the fire and then allow the smoke to dry the meat or the fish, and that will make you to keep your meat and fish for a longer period of time. Lowering temperature. Another method of preserving food is lowering temperature. This method of preservation involves subjecting the food to a low temperature. And once food is subjected to a low temperature, it slows the action of enzymes and microorganisms. The processes used in lowering temperature are refrigeration. Refrigeration is a method of preserving food in which microorganisms are not killed but are prevented from multiplying. So once food is kept inside refrigerator, microorganisms will not die, but their action will stop at that period of time, and they cannot multiply at that period of time. The best temperature for refrigeration is 4 degrees centigrade to 7 degrees centigrade. And foods like fruits and vegetables are best kept inside refrigerator. Another method of lowering temperature is freezing. This method involves storing food under extremely low temperature of about -1 degree centigrade to -4 degrees centigrade. And this can help in slowing down decaying process. It is when food decay that it will not be good for consumption anymore. So in order to slow the decaying process of food, you can put your food inside freezer, that is freezing. Cold storage. This cold storage has to do with keeping food inside commercial freezing places. There are places where commercial sales of frozen foods are made. There are some people that specialize in selling frozen fish, frozen meat, frozen chicken, frozen turkey, etc. So once in those places, they use larger freezers, and food there is normally kept under a lower freezing point of about -18 degrees centigrade. Increasing temperature. Some foods are preserved by increasing the temperature of the food. And once temperature of food is increased, enzymes and microorganisms are destroyed. And once microorganisms and enzymes are destroyed, food is safe for consumption. These include the following methods. Pasteurization. In pasteurization, Food is normally heated to a high temperature and then quickly cooled. Examples of foods that are pasteurized include milk, fruits, and juices. Sterilization. Under sterilization, food is normally kept under a high temperature. And when foods are kept under high temperature like that, the microorganisms are destroyed and the food is exposed to a very high temperature for a longer period of time, and at times under pressure. A good example of sterilized food is milk. Canning and bottling. Under canning and bottling, foods are sealed in airtight bottles or tins and are heated at high temperature for a sufficient period of time, and the reason is to destroy harmful organisms. Once they are sealed in airtight containers, the food item is not supposed to be opened without being used. So once foods are canned or bottled, the moment their lid is opened and it is not used immediately, microorganisms will begin to act on the food again. So airtight foods are supposed to only be opened when they are to be used, or if it must be opened and it is not used, then it should be taken inside refrigerator or freezer. If not, microorganisms will begin to act on it immediately. Using preservatives. Any substance that is added to food to prevent it from decaying is called preservatives. Preservatives are divided into two. We have natural preservatives and chemical preservatives. So let's look at natural preservatives. Natural preservatives are those preservatives that we have around us, in the kitchen, within the house. They are not far away. Some of these natural preservatives are salt, sugar, lemon, vinegar, and oil. Salt. Salt is added to food items to reduce the activity of enzymes. And once the action of enzymes is reduced, food can be good for consumption and it cannot get spoiled immediately. Some of the foods that salt can be added to are fish, meat, or canned foods. Then sugar. Sugar is used as preservative in jams, jellies, etc. Chemical preservatives. Chemicals are commonly found in science laboratories. And in home economics, we use some of these chemicals for different purposes. So in preservation, we also use chemicals. Some of the chemicals that are used for preservation include potassium sulfite, citric acid, and sodium benzoate. They are normally used in preserving juice and other canned products. For any question, send through WhatsApp number 08069156866. Thank you. See you. Bye for now.